Was I and logical, keen, calculating, perspicacious, acute, and astute. I was all of these. My brain was as powerful as a dynamo, as precious as a candy scales, as penetrating as a scalpel. And think of it, I was only 18. It's not often that one so young has such a giant intellect. Take, for example, Patty Birch, my roommate at the University of Minnesota. Same age, same background, but dumb as an ox. A nice enough fellow, you understand, but nothing upstairs. Emotional type, unstable, impressionable. First of all, a fallacy. Facts, I submit, are the very negation of reason. To be served up in every new craze that comes along. To surrender yourself to idiocy, just because everybody else is doing it. This, to me, is an acme of mindlessness, not, however, to pity. One afternoon, I found P.T. lying on his bed with an expression of such distress on his face that I immediately diagnosed appendicitis.
Don't move. Don't take a laxative. I'll get a doctor.
Cook!
Raccoon?
I want a raccoon coat!
I perceived that his trouble was not physical but mental.
Why do you want a raccoon coat?
I should have known it. I should have known that come back like Charleston came back. Like a fool, I spent all my money on textbook. And now I can get money for a raccoon coat.
You mean that people are actually wearing raccoon coats again?
All the big men on campus are wearing that. Where have you been?
In the library.
I want to have a raccoon coat. I've got to.
Really? Why? Look at it rationally. Raccoon coats are unsanitary. Shame. They smell bad. They are unsightly.
You don't understand. It is the thing to do. Don't you want to be in a swing?
No!
Well, I do. I would give anything for a raccoon coat. Anything.
Anything?
Anything.
I stroked my chin softly. It so happened that I knew where to get on my hands on a raccoon coat. My father had had one in his undergraduate days. It lay now in the trunk in the attic back home. It also happened that P.T. had something I wanted. He didn't have it exactly, but at least he had first rights on it. I referred to his girl, Polly Aspie. I had long coveted Polly Aspie. Let me emphasize that my desire for this young woman was not emotional in nature. She was, to be sure, a girl who excited the emotions. But I was not one to let my heart rule my head. I wanted Polly for a shrewdly calculated and entirely selfish reason. I was a freshman in law school. In a few years, I would be out in practice. I was well aware of the importance of the right kind of wife in furthering a lawyer's career. The successful lawyers I had observed were, almost without exception, married to beautiful, gracious, intelligent women. With one omission, Polly fitted this specification perfectly. Beautiful she was. She was not of pin-up proportions, but I feel sure that time would supply the lack. She already had the makings. Gracious she was. By gracious, I mean full of graces. She had an erectness of carriage, an ease of bearing, a pose that clearly indicated the best of breeding. At table, her manners were exquisite. I had seen her at a cozy campus corner in the specialty of the house. A sandwich that contains scraps of pot roast, gravy, chestnuts, and a dipper of sourdough, without even getting her fingers moist. Intelligent, she was not. In fact, she veered in the opposite direction. But I believe that under my guidance, she would smarten up. At any rate, it was worth a try. It is, after all, easier to make a beautiful dumb girl smart than to make an ugly smart girl beautiful.
Are you in love with fallacy?
I think she's a kinky. But if you call it love, why?
Do you have any formal arrangement with her? Are you going steady or something like that?
We see each other quite a bit, but we both have our date. Why?
Is there any other man for whom she has particular fondness?
Not I know of. Why?
In other words, if you were out of the picture, the field will be open. Is that right?
I guess so. What are you getting at?
Nothing. Nothing.
Where are you going?
Home for the weekend.
Listen, while you're home, you couldn't get some money from your old man, could you? And lend it to me, so I can get a raccoon coat.
I made you better than that. Look.
Toledo!
Would you like it?
Oh yes! What do you want for it?
Your girl.
Polly? You want Polly?
That's right.
No!
Okay, if you don't want to be in a swing, I guess it's your business.
I sat down in a chair and pretended to read a book. But out of the corner of my eye, I kept watching Petey. He was a tall man. First, he looked at the coat with the expression of wave at a bakery window. Then he turned away and set his jaw resolutely. Then he looked back at the coat with even more longing in his face. Then he turned away, but with not so much resolution this time. Back and forth, his head swiveled. desire waxing, resolution waning. Finally, he didn't turn away at all. He just stood and stared with the matters at the call.
Isn't as though I was in love with Polly, or just coincidence, or anything like that.
That's right.
What's Polly to me, or me to Polly?
Not the same.
It's just a casual kick, a few laughs. That's all.
Try on the coat.
It fits fine.
Is it a deal?
It's a deal.
I had my first date with Polly the following evening. This was in the nature of a survey. I wanted to find out just how much work I had to do to get her mind up to the standard I required. I took her first to dinner.
Oh, gee, it was a delicious dinner. It was a wonderful movie. I have a sensation.
I went back to my room with a heavy heart. I had gravely underestimated the size of the test. This girl's lack of information was terrifying. Nor would it be enough merely to supply her with information. First, she had to be taught to think. This ran as a project of no small dimensions, and at first I was tempted to give her back to pity. But then I got to thinking about her abundant physical charms, and about the way she entered a room and the way she handled a knife and fork, and I decided to make an effort. I went about it, as in all things, systematically. I gave her a course in logic. It happened that I, as a law student, was taking a course in logic myself, so I had all the facts at my fingertips.
Polly, tonight we go over to the known and talk.
Oh, Tariq, go.
one thing I will say for this job. You will go far to find an answer so agreeable. We went to the campus testing place, and we sat down under an old oak, and we looked at me expectantly.
So, Ju, what are we going to talk about?
Logic.
Oh, magnet.
Logic is the science of thinking. Before we can think correctly, we must first recognize some fallacies about logic. This we will take up tonight.
What's up?
First, let us examine the fallacy code dictates and plastic. Here's an example. Exercise is good. Therefore, everybody should exercise.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, exercise is good to everybody and good to our body. Yeah.
Bully, it's a fallacy. Exercise is good is an unqualified generalization. If you have heart disease, exercise is bad. Good. Many people are asked by their doctors not to exercise. You must qualify the generalization. You can say, exercise is usually good, or it's good for most people. Otherwise, you're committing dictose and plaster. You understand?
No, but this is mommy. Do more, do more.
It will be better if you start taking and sleep. Next, we'll talk about nasty generalization. For example, you can't speak French, I can't speak French, P. Birch can't speak French. Therefore, I must conclude that nobody at the University of Minnesota can speak French.
Really? Nobody?
Holy, it's a fallacy. The generalization is reached too hastily. There are too few instances to support such a conclusion.
No any more fallacies. It's more fun than dancing even.
I thought of a web of despair. I was getting nowhere with this girl. Absolutely nowhere. Still, I'm nothing if not persistent. I continued.
Next comes postcard. Listen to this. Let's not take Bill on our picnic. Every time we take him out with us, it rains.
I know somebody just like that. A girl who names Eula Baker. Her name is. Every time we take her on a picnic, we take her on a picnic.
Holy, it's a fallacy. Eula Baker doesn't cause the rain. She has no connection with the rain. You will commit postcard if you blame Eula Baker.
Oh, I will never do it again. Are you mad at me?
No. No, I'm not mad, Holy.
Then tell me some more fallacies.
Alright, let's try contradictory premises.
Yes, yes.
Here's the example. Listen carefully. If God can do anything, can He make a stone too heavy that you won't be able to lift it? Of course. But if He can do anything, He can lift the stone.
Yeah.
But He can do anything.
Oh, I'm all confused.
Of course you are, Cody. Because when the premises of an argument contradict each other, there is no argument. If there is an irresistible force, there is no immovable object. If there is an immovable object, there is no irresistible force.
Show me some more of this kid stuff.
Alright. I think we had better call it a night. I'll take you home now, and you go over the things we have learned. We'll take another session tomorrow night.
She assured me that she had had a perfectly evening. Then I went glooming home to my room. Katie lay snoring in his bed. The raccoon coat hung like a great hairy beast at his feet. For a moment, I considered waking him and telling him that he could have his girl back. It seemed clear that my project was doomed to failure. The girl simply had a logic-proof head. But then, I reconsidered. I had wasted one evening. I might as well waste another. Who knew? Maybe somewhere in the extinct creator of her mind, a few embers still smolder. Maybe somehow I could fan them into flame. Admittedly, it was not a prospect fraught with hope, but I decided to give it one more try.
Holy, our first lesson tonight is called Enemies Recording. Okay, listen closely. A man applies for a job. When the boss asks him what his qualifications are, the man answered that he has a wife and 6 children. The wife is a helpless cripple, and the children have nothing to eat. No clothes to wear, no shoes on their feet. And the winter is coming.
Oh, it's awful. Awful.
Yes, it's awful, but it's no argument. The man never answered the boss' question. Instead, he appealed to the boss' sympathy. He committed a misericordian.
I will have a handkerchief.
Next, listen closely, Corey. We'll discuss force analogy. Here's an example. Students should be allowed to look at their textbooks during examinations. After all, surgeons have x-rays during their operations. Lawyers have briefs to guide them through their trials. And carpenters have blueprints when they're building a house. Why? Then shouldn't students be allowed to look at their textbooks?
There is the most marvelous idea I have heard in years.
Nuts. Next, we'll try contradictory premises. Listen, if Madame Curie hadn't happened to leave a photographic plate, the world today would not know about radio.
I still think it's a good idea.
If you can forget Mr. Pigeon for a moment, I would like to point out that the argument is a fallacy. Maybe Madame Curie would have found it at a later date. Maybe somebody else would have found it. And maybe any number of things can happen. You can start with a hypothesis that is not true and then draw any supportable conclusion from it.
But I still think it's a good idea.
The next fallacy is called poisoning the well. Two men are having a debate. One gets up and says, "My opponent is a notorious liar. You can't believe any word he says." Now, Tony, think hard, and tell me what's wrong.
It's not fair. It's not a bit fair. What chance? What chance has the second man got if the first man say that he's wrong?
Right, 100% right. It's not fair. The man has poisoned the well before anybody could drink from it, and the man has outstrung his opponent before he can even start. I'm proud of you, pony shoes. You see, my dear, these things aren't so hard. All you have to do is to concentrate, think, examine, and evaluate.
Fire away.
Heartened by lunch that Polly was not altogether a cretin, I began a long, patient review of all I had told her. Over and over and over again, I cited instances, pointed out for flaws, kept hammering away without let up. It was like digging a tunnel. At first, everything was work, sweat, and darkness. I had no idea when I would reach the light, or even if I would. But I persisted. I pounded and clawed and scratched, and finally I was rewarded. I saw a chink of light, and then the chink got bigger, and the sun came pouring in, and all was bright. Five growing nights with this took, but it was worth it. I had made a logician out of Polly. I had taught her to think. My job was done. She was worthy of me, at least. She was a fit wife for me, a proper hostess for my many mansions, a super mother for my well-heeled children. It must not be thought that I was without love of this girl. Quite the contrary. Just as Pygmalion loved the perfect woman he had fashioned. So I loved mine. I decided to acquaint her with my feelings at our very next meeting. The time had come to change our relationship from academic to romantic.
Polly, tonight we will not talk about fallacies.
Oh, gee. Oh, gee.
My dear, we spent 5 evenings together. We've got along splendidly. It is clear that we are well matched.
Hasty generalization.
I beg your pardon?
Hasty generalization. How can you say that we are well matched on the basis of just 5 days?
I chuckled with amusement. The dear child had learned her lesson well.
My dear, 5 days is plenty. After all, you don't need to eat the whole cake to know that it's good.
False analogy. I'm not a cake. I'm a girl.
I chuckled with somewhat less amusement. The dear child had learned her lesson perhaps too well. I decided to change tactics. Obviously, The best approach was a simple, strong, direct declaration of love. I paused for a moment, while my massive brain chose the proper words. Then I began.
Homie, I love you. You are the whole world to me. And the moon, and the stars, and its constellations of outer space. Please, my darling, say that you will be with me. For you will not, life will be meaningless. I will languish. I will refuse my meals. I will wander the face of the earth like a shambling, hollow-eyed hawk.
That misericordian.
I ground my teeth. I was not Pygmalion. I was Frankenstein, and my monster had me by the throat. Frantically, I fought back the tide of panic surging through me. At all costs, I had to keep cool.
Well, Paul, you certainly have learned your lessons well.
You're damn right.
And who told them to you, Paulie?
You did.
That's right. So you do owe me something, right? If I hadn't come along, you wouldn't have all those fallacies.
I possess the contrary to fact.
Paulie, you mustn't take all these things so literally. I mean, this is just classroom stuff. All the things you learn in school have nothing to do with real life.
So simplicity.
Will you not go study with me?
I will not.
Why not?
Because this afternoon, I have promised that I will go study. With people.
What? Peter first, the rat. You can't go with him, boy. He's a rat. He's a liar. He's a fucking cheat.
Okay, and start shutting. I think shutting must be a fallacy too.
Okay. You're a logician. Let's look at this thing logically. Look at me, a brilliant student, an intellectual, a man with an assured future. And look at me first. A cheater bird, a knothead, a man who doesn't know who his next man is coming from. Can you give me one logical reason why you choose Petey Birch over me?
I certainly can. Because he has got a raccoon card.
Okay, stage bow. Thank you so much.
Sometimes I remember reasons I let you go. Inside them I see your face and all I really know. I was scared to share the love I have inside